Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. Good evening, at least it's evening where I am, and welcome to this little stream. I'm a little bit confused right now because I changed where I put my software and where I put the chat, so everything is a little bit different this time. But yeah, I just want to say thank you. And the first thing that I want to address is, can you hear me? Can you see me? Please let me know in the chat. And there's something new for the chat that is in my past streams I was eyeing the chat every 20 minutes or so, and then I read 2 or 3 comments and it was a complete parallel conversation going on. And I everything that was there, I thought, yeah, they're talking about me, I have to answer, and of course it doesn't make any sense because I was taking statements out of context. So let's do this differently, and whenever you want to ask me something or get my attention, please add me in the chat so that I can see it pop up, my name, I get this little tag there, and then I can answer your question or anything else you might want to add, because yeah, I was making an idiot out of myself, and my plan, my resolution is not to continue making an idiot out of myself, not more than necessary. So audio is apparently fine. Thanks, Cursiboo. And first, let me answer some questions that have been brought up while I was setting up. Let me just scroll up again. Tutvari, yes, you get an A+ for preparations for having both coffee and water. I myself have only water because coffee is almost empty, but I thought it already had dried up, but apparently it didn't, so I get some coffee water there. If you can see it now, it's anyway, cheers. Whenever I see unicorn, have a sip of water to stay hydrated. This is our little drinking game. Oh dear. Coffee infused water. I should sell this. So what's the program for today? First, we're going to play a little game that was brought to my attention, that is Pirasea by Lilo Cormick. And then I start a little schematic animation in After Effects, because I have this video on my channel that's called What is Chromatic Aberration and Why Should You Care? And for some reason, this is one of my most popular videos, because people probably just Google what the hell is chromatic aberration and they find my video. So I've watched it a couple of months back, and yeah, the quality is not too great. I just wanted to throw something out there, and I decided to make an HD remake of this video, essentially just doing it properly from scratch. And for this I need to have some kind of animations to really illustrate what is going on, and this is what I want to get started with today. I already wrote the script, already recorded some of the voiceover, so yeah, I'm in full production mode, as you can see, because apparently I just don't have anything else to do. Don't we all? Okay, so nothing is said there in the chat, apart from, yes, one thing I want to answer as well. Yes, Ludumdare 46 is upon us. Let me just quickly check when we will see it. It's in 12 days and 5 hours. And yes, absolutely, I'm planning to participate, and I'm planning to, where's my camera that I can hold it up? Oh, it's over there. No, never mind. Yes, I'm also planning to shoot again another post-mortem. And with this whole lockdown situation and social distancing going on, I already have some ideas about how to dodge myself around the obligatory driving scene where I just get cabin fever and have to leave the house. But this doesn't seem to be possible this time, so yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have some ideas and I hope they are entertaining. Okay, so Lady Mistleaf writes, I'm texting Lilo to see if she can get on. This would be great, especially now that I'm playing her game, so that she can set me straight when I tell something about the game that's utterly wrong, or any other misconceptions that I have while I'm playing it, as we all know. And I think it's always fun for a creator of a game watch someone else play it, but without the ability to shout in their face and say, no, you're doing this wrong. Because this is why I'm enjoying this so much, because it's a one-way street that nobody is able to shoot in my face. Shout in my face. Well, shoot in my face also. Okay, so I hope you're all ready. I say unicorn, have some coffee. Oh my god, it's so milky already. Well, it's literally milky. So yeah, unicorn, have a sip of water. Frank added me in the chat. This is great. It's working. Thank you so much. Just replace it by shots of obligatory driving game. Oh man, you gave it away. Let's all this be our little secret then. Okay, let's switch over to the screen. Hello there. I'm now in the small box again. And the game today is Pirasea by Lilo Cormick. This is the itch.io page of the game, and look at this, it already looks adorable. I've already played this game, this was the wrong link. I've already played this game here in Ludum Dare, what was it, 43, already kind of behind us. I'm just thinking how many postmortems I still have to produce. And the prototype was Can't Save Them All. And I just want to point it out how interesting it is to see the original prototype, the concept, and then see how it changed in terms of look and presentation, and probably also, yeah, it just got gussied up a little more. Give it a few minutes. I have no idea what. Are we waiting still for Lilo or not? I can bridge the time by sharing my thoughts on Animal Crossing. Let me bring up Pirasea again so that we all know what we're going to see. Yeah, I've been playing Animal Crossing New Horizons for the past weeks. I think it's weeks now. And it's my first Animal Crossing game. And I think I'm playing it wrong, in a sense. Because I realized why am I hooked on the game? Because I haven't missed a single day playing it, and why I'm still not enjoying it too much. So it's this weird relationship of love-hate to a certain game. And yeah, so if you are enjoying the game, please don't let me don't be influenced by me spoiling it to you or something. It's just my personal opinion, because I found out that everything that you do in the game is grating to me, because it just takes a little bit too much time than necessary. When you're just running around, your little island is broken up by streams of water, little rivers, and on my island I also got different kinds of hate fields. It's just 2 levels where you can't reach by foot, but you have also, with the water you have to use a tool, and the tool for the water is just this stake where you just use it to jump over it. But what's so grating to me is I've realized that I try to avoid crossing the bridge, or well, when I have the bridge, it's not a problem, but I try to avoid crossing the rivers, because I have to go into this little ring menu and switch over to this stake that I can use once. Then I'm holding the stake, but I'm not needing it anymore for whatever I'm doing there. So yeah, to me it's constantly this constant going to the menu and selecting something is a little bit grating. Then each time you talk to an NPC, it's not so much a problem when you're talking to your other villagers, because most of the time they have something new or something different to say. But with this, for example, when you go to a different mystery island, you get the same pages of dialogue, and it's literally pages. That of course you can fast forward it, but you can't entirely skip it. And yeah, with all those little things, I've realized that I try to avoid them as much as I can and focus on what I usually do, that is, yeah, just filling up bars, just essentially just trying to get my Nook miles, which are just little bars or achievements that you get for certain activities. The point is, the game itself, what you do, is not fun for me to play, but everything else, is in a sense that this feeling of progression, that I'm doing things, and then the island gets bigger and there are more residents and so on. So this I really like, but this whole gameplay itself it's not like Mario where running around and jumping is fun, because everything, like I said, it's just grating on your nerves because everything takes so long. Whenever you catch a bug or something, you have this little animation of, yay, look at this, I caught a moth, let's put it in my bag, and it's every time. So yeah, those are just my thoughts, way too long. I'm sorry for hating on Animal Crossing, but like I said, I will be probably playing it until freaking Bunny Day is over. Yes, Lilo is there. Wonderful. So sorry for just ranting about Animal Crossing. Let's devote our attention entirely to Pirasea. And I realized that I forgot to dig up my eye patch so that I can be full pirate. Yarg, me hearties. For us to play Pirasea properly. Maybe I have a mask now, but I don't think that this is appropriate for Pirasea. So I already downloaded the game, and like I said, it's I think the mechanics are pretty similar to Can't Save Them All, but what has changed, of course, is here the playing field, I think. So let's see how this plays out. And we're playing it, of course. Yes, it works. Purple cable, I like this. Now there is probably music. Yes, there is music. It's a little bit too loud on my end, but can you hear it? Can you hear me? Can you hear the music? Because last time I was way too loud and whatever was playing on the screen was way too silent. So I hope it's working. So, okay, so start, credits and settings. First, always have a look at the credits because it's very important to give a shout out to the people who actually made this game. And this game was made by Lilo Cormick. Music by Joshua McLean. Oh my god, the old go-to Josh, because everyone's using his music because it's just so great. And since you can use it with just using crediting him, I think is really great. And graphics, also a Creative Commons graphics. Awesome! So, I like already the bouncing buttons. They are bouncing a little bit too much for myself, for my taste, but this is good. So, let's start. Okay, so should have read the instructions. Can I? Oh, of course, I recall now. So, if I recall correctly, each time you make a move, there's a pirate ship that also moves, and I think this is another one. And what's important is that each time there one additional ship pops up there, and I can combine them. And of course the pirates are trying to, oh dear, this is not good. This is not good. But I can, exactly, right, okay, cool. So I need to escape from the pirates and reach this star down here with as many people alive as possible. What's happening right now? Okay, left click, right click. Okay, apparently I clicked somewhere wrong. Dear. Yeah, I think I just broke it. Can I click? I can't click anything. Okay, maybe. Okay, I have to start over. So, sorry. Let's try this again. Okay, I think I recall how this is being played or supposed to be played. Okay, this is not good, so let's take the lesser evil there and... Okay. What I like about this is now that I'm moving with my ship with 5 settlers, people, crates, whatever there, and I'm thinking, yeah, I need to get those 5 there to safety, but those are just keep piling up, and now they are more valuable than what I have here. So let's move them away. Okay, I can take out the pirates. This is bad. This is also bad. Of course, yeah, they go for my 6. This makes sense. Okay, so the 5 is almost safe now. Ah, this was stupid. They take my 3 yes. Ah, damn it. This was not good. Okay, let's bring them. At least I saved some of them. I can't save them all, but I'm trying to save most. Yeah, I don't like that this pirate ship there is patrolling here. Yeah, this is not good. Okay, maybe Maybe. Yes, okay, good. Oh, good. Yes, why not? You have to sacrifice the few to save the many. Okay, this works. This works well. So, was it 100? Was it 100 in the beginning? So I saved half of them, so a quarter already. So yeah, I don't think I'm getting a platinum rating in this game here. Okay, cool. Actually, you know what? It's good that I'm not wearing my eye patch, because apparently I'm not playing the pirate, but the poor merchant ships. Okay, so let's get rid of this one. Okay, so now my 12, I have to make sure that my 12 reach the port. Good, okay. I like this xylophone going there. Shit. Yes. Okay, as long as this fleet there is in pursuit of me here, I can get at least those here to safety. And I need this one here, or this two here, as a decoy. Oh, this was not good. Okay. No! Ah, damn it. It was 4 already. Okay. Now with my 12 there, I need to be very, very careful. Okay, good. Okay, so those are the last ones. I just keep the one up here, hopefully to draw the attention of the other pirates. Yes, they're going for the one. Good. So I can escape here. So yeah. How did I do? I think it was 79, right? So I think I broke it again. Oh crap, I'm sorry. But all things considered, I think it wasn't too bad. Oh, I won! Lost 27, I got 1 star. Yeah, okay, good. So my best was 73. You know what? Let's try this once again. And make less mistakes, I hope. So just one. Okay, now let's make a run for it. Let's make a run for it. Yeah, let's do this. Oh, damn it. Damn it. Ah, that was stupid of me. I was just afraid that they wouldn't get through, but apparently... this is bad again. Okay. Yeah, my strategy is not working. It is not working. I'm trying hard to find a dominant strategy, and whenever I think that I'm being very clever, I'm being extremely stupid. Okay, so maybe... Yeah, let's be conservative and try it like this. Okay, good. Outmaneuvered here this pirate fleet. I really like this. Yeah, in terms of feedback, what I'm missing a little bit is auditory feedback when I'm clicking something. It's probably because I've been playing too much of Animal Crossing, and was this bad there that I moved them back to the starting frame and now they don't update. Sorry. Oh yeah, okay, it worked. It worked. Just took a little bit of time. Yeah, what I was saying is, yeah, I like it when everything jingles a little bit. Whenever you click something or move something, make just this little bloop bloop, those kind of sound. I think this is the only thing that's missing to me, that I'm clicking something. But judging from, yeah, I don't know what's it with this delay here. But okay, we got 17 now in this boat. I have to really make sure that this one here gets to safety. Okay. Yeah, the AI is targeting this ship now, so I have one move left. Okay, good. And I thought I was doing better than before, but apparently I'm really not. This is much worse, probably because I lost the 11. There we go. Okay, 7. Just bait them and now making a run for it. Yes, okay, good. In hot pursuit, but yes, I made it. Okay, cool. So I will conserve now this one here. Oh, okay, it's a 2, but yeah, sometimes you have to use the good old kamikaze tactic to get where you want to go. Okay, so the AI is after me now. Okay, I keep the 1 here to get rid of this boat here and then see if I can outmaneuver them. Yeah, I was better the last time. This is 72, right? 1 star. Well, I really wanted to do better this time and I was even worse by 1 than before. Ah, damn it. But I really like it. I really like it. It's a small, fun game. I could see this work very well on mobile, but apparently also can you. This probably is the reason for this aspect ratio. What's there in settings, music and the SFX? Yes, I think the SFX were a little bit too loud for me. In its default setting, I think somewhere with the music there it would have worked better, but this is just personal preference. But yeah, this was Pirasea by Lilo Cormick. And apparently I've stumbled onto a couple of bugs, but yeah, I like it. And like I said, I could see this very well working on the phone. Maybe if you want to keep working on it, what I think would be interesting to have some kind of obstacles, maybe like some islands that you of course can't traverse through, so you have to go around it. And yeah, maybe something like this, or where maybe you have 2 ports where your ships where your ships appear and only 1 pirate fleet, but maybe have some kind of cannons when you can shoot with just that just takes 1 of your cargo when you shoot something, but it goes further, but it damages. Okay, I'm overthinking this right now, but yeah, like I said, I think this has a lot of potential, and I give you 2 thumbs up, and thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. And Sayap Guy is there. You get 2 stars at 75. So yeah, this is a typical fill. It's just 1 point short of something where you would achieve something. Okay, so going back to the title of the stream. We're doing some animations in After Effects, and like I said in the beginning, it's about chromatic aberration. And yeah, I'm doing this video where I'm explaining what chromatic aberration is, what it looks like, and why it's there, why so many games, or especially in computer graphics, we're trying to adopt this kind of optic artifact. So many of you probably know what it looks like. So this is a lens here in the middle without a lot of chromatic aberration, and here if you go from the center of the lens out to its edges, to the edges of the image, most lenses have this kind of color drift, this color shifting, and this is chromatic aberration. So yeah, this is what I was going to. So essentially I'm trying to animate this kind of schematic. I already have the voiceover recorded. Let me just quickly see there. Where do I have the voiceover? Or at least, you know what, maybe I can find the script with the section so that you know what I'm going to try to illustrate today. Google Docs, there we go. Oh my god, this is so big. Chromatic aberration. There we go. Okay, so this is the script, and the blue things here are what I'm going to record a live action. The rest is already recorded, but not cleaned with voiceover. So yeah, it's still, there's a lot of smacks there and noise going on, and a little bit of reverb and so on. So yeah, it's not the perfect, but I recorded it, and so I think. Here I'm talking about what light is, because with wavelength and so on, that first to get everyone on the same point. And I think this is what I'm going to illustrate in the stream today. And it reads, now with that in mind, let's look at this diagram of a photo lens exhibiting no chromatic aberration. This thing here is called the focal plane. So this would be here. I already prepared something in Illustrator so that we can get started and don't have to do all the assets that we need. So essentially, I'm just, the intention is to draw here a light ray of white light that just enters the lens and goes through and ends up there on the visual plane, and then do something at the edge of the lens where it gets broken. Or refracted is the correct term, where it gets bent and appears on the focal plane as well. And then we're going to animate. Let's do the same thing on a lens with a strong chromatic aberration. A ray of light through the center passes pretty much unaffected. Let's see what happens when a ray enters the lens at its edge. So what I want to do is get this nice rainbow effect there in After Effects, that it's really obvious what's going to happen. And for this, of course, we have to start up After Effects. If I can find it. There we go. YouTube is saying, interestingly, that my stream health is excellent. Apparently it's only for upstream, because this afternoon we were trying, my wife was trying to get us up to watch something on Netflix, and the Netflix starting page had a lot of troubles updating even the thumbnails, because it was a wonderful Sunday, but you're not allowed to go out, so you stay at home, and what do? Netflix. Okay, so I'm doing this in After Effects for the simple reason that I'm most versed with After Effects in terms of motion graphics, and that it's pretty available. I could also have done this animation, or would be able to do this animation in Nuke, but Nuke is, for one thing, not that far distributed among the people. Yeah, this was an awkward way of putting it. Yeah, it's not that popular because it's just so niche and also horribly expensive. But I think After Effects is, from the point of commercial software, a de facto standard when it comes to motion graphics. What I also thought about first was doing this illustration to make an interactive illustration, in a sense that I just try to do it in Game Maker and program it, and yeah, just lay down a lot of constraints, but that you can just move the light ray on the lens up and down and see how it's being diffracted or refracted. It's not diffraction, that's something else entirely. Anyway, yeah, I thought it probably takes me way too long for what it is, because I don't need it to be interactive. I already know where I want to put the light rays and how it should look. So this is why I'm doing it here in After Effects, because yeah, I do most of my motion graphics in After Effects, and I've seen some people, actually I saw this on Twitter, where someone was doing for their game, their trailer, entirely in Unity. And I realized, yeah, of course, this is completely possible, where you have inserts of text and yeah, the new game, bam, and camera shake and different scene changes, and everything is just scripted there. So if you can do it, I think this is pretty great. It never occurred to me because I'm so dead set on using After Effects. Oh, I said unicorn. Right. Thanks, Lady Miss Leaf. Cheers. I should get new water. No, I'm not. This is water with coffee, so it should be better, but it isn't. Well, it really should be better than this. Well, at least it's not stale anymore. It doesn't taste stale. Okay, so when I do something like this, where I'm trying to illustrate something, like I said, it helps if I have first the script, that I know what is being said, what actually needs to be visualized. And the other thing helps to have the voiceover, because then I knew how long I have to make the animation. But sometimes I realized when I'm doing editing, and I will change things in the edit stage later, I think this is what we're going to do now, is I'm going to animate it very drawn out, well, not too drawn out, but that I can speed it up in my editing software later on, should I need to, or just make some frames still frames that they're just holding on for a couple of seconds should I need them. So it's going to be a very slow-paced, straightforward linear animation. Well, linear in the sense that I'm not doing any kind of speed ups, because I don't know if I or when or would I need them in the end. Yeah, I hope you understand what I mean. Okay, so first let's get our assets imported. And this is the wrong folder. So I already prepared something. I have always this same folder structure there. Oh, and I just realized that, is my mouse pointer showing? Yes, it is showing. Do I have? Yes, I even have. Good. I almost forgot to have my Glassbrick app running, which allows me to zoom into by holding the Alt and Shift key. But it works, and it just when I'm using Glassbrick, which is called, and OBS, I have to deactivate cursor rendering in OBS. Otherwise, you would have two cursors that are not overlapping each other. It's very distracting, like this tangent there. So I got already a folder for schematic, and I got some sources in there. And let's have a look at my sources. Well, for one thing is here I have this graphic here. You can't see it because it's on black background, or it's supposed to be on black background. Yeah, it's nothing much. It's just the lens and the focal plane where the real image will be. So this one. The rest we will do with After Effects curves or shapes, which you can just draw from start to finish by giving it a percentage value, which is pretty cool. This is how we're going to animate it. Next thing that we have is here the camera, or a camera from the side. I got this from the Canon web page, so I just upscaled it, that it looks nicer and sharper, just to really get across where, yeah, this is where the lens is, and this is where the camera sensor is in a camera. And then I will overlay this on top, just to get everyone on the same page, that they know what they're looking at, especially if you're not too familiar with this kind of optics diagrams. Then I got my trusty old background image here for anything that Pixel Prophecy, any schematics. I have this as a background. As you can see here, it's just this kind of pixely grid. Pixel Prophecy makes sense. And I also made here a negative version because I want really to show this white light and then how it gets split up into this color spectrum and rainbow colors. And for this, I need to do this on a black background. Go get some new water. No, I won't. I'm here until the bitter end. Unicorn. I'm torturing myself for your entertainment. Are you not entertained? Apparently not, so I should get on with it. And Cursey-Boo. Oh, for some reason I had to moderate his comment, or their comment, that is unicorn and water icon. I said unicorn again, so cheers. Apparently YouTube thinks this was somehow expensive. Okay, so like I said, first I need this background, so I just drop it there, and by default my timeline there is set to 15 seconds. I don't know if it's enough, but let's just observe the settings and see that we're all on the same page. So it's full HD square pixels, 60 frames per second, and let's say 30 seconds, and okay. So let's extend this layer here and drop our simple schematic on there. So, and the first thing that I want to make sure is that the Canon 5D, this camera image, overlaps and is in the correct place where the lens should be and where the image sensor should be, which it's not. Frank says, did you say unicorn? I'm not sure. Yes, I said unicorn, so 2 sips of water. I think you're trolling me, by the way. Okay, so I want to make sure that the lens and the image sensor are in the right place. So I'm just diminishing here the opacity a little bit that I can see where things are. And I think where the image sensor in a 5D, it should be here. I could get my 5D, but I think for demonstration purposes, yeah, let's make it a bit smaller. Scale this down. So, okay, the issue that I'm having here is that the lens is in the correct position, but the image plane is not. This one has to be much further. So it's good that I still have Illustrator open, which I do not, that we can make adjustments, because I had to move this layer around anyway. Oh, Hedgie is there. Great. Thank you so much for dropping by and watching the stream. We got, oh my god, we got 14 concurrent viewers and already 2 likes. This is twice as many as the last time, and I'm full aware that last time probably was not too entertaining, but I did my best to bring to you the beauty of NES chip music. Okay, so this is the Illustrator file, and let's move this further in. And what else did I do? I think I moved this all down just a little bit like so. By the way, this black solid here is used for the background, and everything is huge, by the way, because usually I'm working on UHD, but for the stream I scaled my screen down to HD, so everything is just giant. Okay, save this and reload it here in After Effects, reload footage. And yeah, let's reset the position as well. Right click, reset. Okay, this looks better. It's not entirely perfect, but I think that's what the hell am I doing? It's not 100% perfect, but I think it's good enough just to get the point across of what this diagram actually is. Okay, so the image sensor should be here, maybe a little bit further in, something like here. But yeah, this should do. So, you know what? Now this image sensor here on the schematic completely blends into the actual photograph there. So I think I should do things differently here by just giving it a different color. Maybe just make it bright gray instead of dark gray. And give it a bright gray outline like so. Save. And it updated automatically. This is nice. So yes, good. So the first thing that we're going to do is, yeah, I don't like how this center line here is clipped on one side, of course, because I moved here the layer around. So I just put a mask on it, on everything, and just cut it out. Or you know what? What we could do is we could, when this schematic appears, then we just pull it open. And I think this is the first order of business. So I skip here ahead to second number 1 in my timeline, just that I have some space in front should I need something to add in front of it. So this is section 1. I just make a marker here on the timeline so that I know that something is happening here. And I'm going to animate this mask that just draws open this Illustrator graphic. So I animate the mask path, and I animate it here for, let's try 1 second, roughly 1 second, and see if it feels too slow. So get my anchor points there of the curve and just pull it open like so. Good. Oh, Lilo Cormick is going. Thank you so much for dropping by. I hope I didn't butcher your game too much by trying to break it and find too many bugs inadvertently. Thank you so much for dropping by and for submitting your game. Okay, so now we have this little animation. Let's play it back in real time. Yeah, and I think it looks nice. Just want to make sure that the preview starts. The shortcut is numpad 0. So whenever I hit 0 on the numpad, we get here playback from current time. So wherever I am here in the timeline, when I hit 0, it plays back from this time. It's just like a playhead. Cool. So now we have this here open. Then 1 second was quite okay. So I just make sure that it's on 2 seconds drop frame. And then I leave it be for another second or so. Like I said, or half a second. Yeah, half a second should be enough. Like I said, just in case that in my editing software later on that I need to hold longer on this still frame. And of course I need to save it. So let's drill down to my project folder. Where is it? Chromatic aberration. There we go. Setups AE, and let's call this schematic version 01. Good. It's always good to save. Good. Okay, so the next thing is I want this kind of illustration with the camera just to subtly overlay so that you know what you're looking at actually. So I bring this layer here on top of everything, and what I always do is when something is not visible, or that I don't need it to be visible, because here you can see there in my timeline, everything is represented as bars. Each layer is one long bar. And no matter how much opacity it has, it's always, in a sense, visible. And so that I know where I'm using stuff, I just clip it here, because I don't need the camera here in front, because I want to fade it in and then fade it out again. So, wrong shortcut. Good. So I'm animating the opacity now that we're starting here at 0. And for 1 second that I'm fading the camera in, but not completely, because now it's completely overlaid. You know what? If I move the layer underneath, I think this should work much better. So there I'm fading in this camera here. And I'm wondering if I should give it some kind of X-ray effect. Would this be nice? Yeah, I mean, either way, let's just fade it out again. How long looks nice when it fades in. Yeah, this is, I think, half a second. Yeah, it's a little bit more than half a second. I think half a second for this fading is okay. Then it stays like it is for another half a second. Like I said, just that I can use stop frames in Premiere, should I need to, and then it fades out. And again, I clip here the layer that only the portion that I need is visible. Okay, so it fades in and fades out, just so we know that yes, this is a camera from the side. Okay, let's go for some kind of X-ray effect. Okay, cool. For this, After Effects is in a sense like Photoshop, but it's non-destructive. That means you can apply effects, but you can move them around or even animate them, and the footage underneath is always unaffected, of course, because it's being read somewhere from disk. Okay, for an X-ray effect, I would try now, let's just try to make it to invert it. And this looks good, but of course it's too strong. So I just do some color correction and now just playing around with it, giving it here, or having the curves before inverting, like so. But then again, of course, it should still be legible as a camera, or that you can understand that it's a camera. Right now it looks wrong. I mean, does this look like a camera? Yes, it does. I think it should be fine. The other thing that I can see now is that it gets this kind of orange tint to it, probably because the original image was not color correct it, because I can see here now in this black, it's not entirely gray or black. It looks a little bit bluish purple. This is when we make it negative, it gets orange. So the first thing that I do is, where is my camera here? That I'm doing a color correction, and where do I have hue saturation? There we go. So I'm switching off now all the effects. Just to show you here with the hue saturation, I can select a certain range in color. Let's take the blues. And now if I add the blue saturation up to 100, you can see here that everything just gets overly exaggerated. So essentially, this always helps me to find out what, if something appears gray in image, but it isn't. I always use hue saturation and crank it up to 100, literally, so that you can see what the actual color is. So I was right, it's blue. So if I turn down, everything that was blue is now completely unsaturated. So essentially only this red dot and here the red ring should remain colorful. And I put this straight in front. So now when I'm doing the curves and invert, yes, this looks much better. Just to show you, if I undo hue saturation, you can see here that it loses its saturation. Cool. So the other thing is now that this blue ring here looks a bit weird, I feel. So what we're also going to do in hue saturation is to turn the master hue to 180 degrees so that in the negative it looks correct, like this. Which I think is kind of cool. Okay, for this X-ray effect, I want to have the center here a little bit less opaque. Opaque is the word. More transparent, less opaque. So what I'm doing now is I just draw here a curve on top of it and to cut it out. But I invert this mask here, subtract. So I also deactivate now here this our schematic on top, so just that we know that where we are. So now it looks kind of nice, but of course here this transition of the curve is too strong. So I say the mask feather is much stronger, something like this. And now it looks more like you're looking inside the camera. Maybe it's a bit too strong, too feathered. Something like this. I think this looks nice. Let's try it here with this schematic on top. I think this could work. Maybe cut out here even some more of the bottom part, because this one here is in shadows. So I invert it, it becomes bright. So maybe it's a bit too bright. And another thing is that here on top I have the opposite problem, that this black here bleeds pretty much into the background and it's not a well-defined outline or shape. So I want to have, just some kind of outline there on top. And now I'm getting fancy because I'm duplicating the entire layer there and just deactivating everything that's underneath. So now I have a copy here of what we did before, but for this copy I don't care about its hue saturation or its curves or anything, because I will be overlaying solid color. Generate fill. There we go. And as you can see here, I can just pick a color that I want. Let's pick just this gray white, and now it looks much more defined. Of course, it's now too strong. So now with this overlay, that's just this white fringes there. Essentially, I'm trying to fake a Fresnel effect, if that means something to you. Yeah, just adjusting the curve down here. I don't need as much. I can make this feathering even a bit. And now if I add now what I have underneath, I think it looks kind of cool. But like I said, the question is, does this look like a camera from the side? Would you instantly recognize it, or am I being too fancy? Hedgie writes, do you know of any good free After Effects alternatives? Sadly, I do not actually, But wasn't there some kind of free alternative to Flash? I think I've heard something, because with Flash you also have this kind of timeline. You can stack images on top of each other, as well as vector images, which is cool because you're independent of your output resolution. I think I would look into this. The other thing that comes to mind is using Unity for it. I think with Unity there's some feature that's a timeline or so, which I think you can just take out of what it's usually supposed to be doing, but you could do this as well. And I don't know anything else. So if anyone else knows of something that's like this, please. Maybe with Blender. I think with Blender there's also some kind of editing software with it. I'm not quite sure, frankly, but I think it has certain compositing features, much like After Effects, and I think this could work with Blender as well. Like I said, I'm stuck with Adobe. I've been for over 20 years now. So yeah, I'm really sorry that I can't give you better alternatives. Okay, so you know what? This white here on top is a bit too strong. Maybe have it something like this, that it looks spacey, but not too much. Yeah, I think this could work. So let me just check it here in the animation. Is now this lens here too tall that it makes sense? I think I should make it smaller now that it fits inside the camera here, that it looks as if really that this is a part of this camera. So yes, back to Illustrator, and let's scale it now. This was the path. Let's scale it down just a bit, like so, and let's try it. Yes, I think this looks better. Okay, so now we have the setup, then what's it supposed to be, and we are here at second number 5. Let's go to 5, and here we start. I think the script starts here with a lens that has no chromatic aberration. Let's look at this diagram of a photo lens exhibiting no chromatic aberration. Alright, this thing here is called the focal plane. In a camera, it's where the film or the camera chip is. So when I say this thing here, then maybe it would help before I'm fading the camera in that I'm having some kind of arrow, or maybe that it blinks, or yeah, just drawing the attention to this thing here. So we're fading in. So I'm moving now the layer here with the camera that's fading in just down the line when I will need it. So we're here at 230. Oh, you know what? I usually have the Mario Paint hand cursor. Let me see if I can find it somewhere. I think the last time that I used it was with a code review of I think it was Memorandum, the code review of Memorandum, where I had this finger where it was constantly pointing at something. So, and I'm sure that I have it, of course, in my old project folder for this project. If I can find it. Projects 2019. Videos, compositing, modeling, mapping, code review, memorandum. There we go. Images. Mario Paint hand cursor. There we go. Wonderful. So just copy this one and drop it into my project directory. If I can find it, I can't find it, but let's import again. And now I just paste, and there we go. Cool. So I'm just using this Mario Paint hand cursor just to point at this thing here, which I always like. So one thing that I want to do first is set the origin, because if I'm rotating this thing here, now it rotates around the center, or when I'm scaling it, it scales around the center. But I want this to be the tip of the finger, so I grab this thing here, which is its origin point, and just move it up here. And now when I'm rotating it, it does exactly what I want to do. Okay, cool. But now it looks like the hand is flipped, which actually it's not flipped, it's just on yeah, bottom up. No, not what, I'm not quite sure what the phrase is where something is upside down. There we go, upside down. It looks upside down because it is upside down. So what I'm going to do is I'm scaling it by -100 in its Y extents, which is just flipping it vertically. And now that I can, now it looks more correct. 240. That's more. Yeah, let's say 270, that it's nice and clean. So of course we don't need the hand to be there all the time. I just want it here that it fades in. So I start with opacity 0 and have it fade in very briefly or very fast. This thing here is called the image sensor. So before animating this hand here, I just copy the keyframes here that it fades out once we're done, like so, whoop, and then it fades out. Bottoms up, you mean unicorn? This is some nasty water. Cool. So I want this hand to go up and down just to really get across that I'm talking about this thing here. And for this, we're going to animate its position. Very straightforward. Just zoom in here on my timeline a bit more. That we start here and then it goes just up and down. So I copy the keyframe that the first keyframe and the last keyframe is there. And the keyframe in the middle is this one here. So now it looks, yeah, this is a very linear animation and I don't like this because it's so, yeah, it's so technical and looks so wrong. So I make, yeah, I make a little ease in and ease out to these keyframes, and this is very simple with After Effects. I just select the keyframes, select the keyframe assistant, and then I can say ease in, ease out, and so on. So let's ease out of this one, ease into this one, and in the middle one it should also ease. So it's like this. It's very, very short, but it feels more realistic in a sense. It's nicer and not as jagged if you look at it. Maybe, you know what, maybe I can even use here a rotation, that the finger keeps pointing, but it just rotates the hand a little. So I start here with the starting rotation, and when we're down here, I just rotate it like this thing here. I like it. With the rotation, I do the same thing. I have it ease in and ease out, but it's happening maybe a bit too fast. So I scale it to that it's 1 second longer. So how do I do this? I select all the keyframes and then hit this wonderful button, that's the graph editor. Yeah, and there I have to select it again, and this way I can just scale it like motion curves in, for example, in Maya. So let's have a look at this again. Yeah, and this feels much nicer. Okay, so it fades in. This thing here is inside a camera. Good, okay. Let's have a look at the script. So we animated now. Let's look at this diagram of a photo lens. Diagram exhibiting no chromatic aberration. This thing here is called the focal plane. We got this in a camera. It's where not there, it's where the film or the camera chip is. So this one we already got. Cool. Now, when a ray of light enters the lens, it changes direction. It's being refracted to appear sharp on the focal plane. Okay, so let's do this. And it says also here, the further from the lens's center a light ray enters, the more it needs to be bent. So let's do this that we have here, two rays of light. One enters, let's say here, around here, and gets refracted. And then we have another, maybe on top, that gets stronger refracted. And it's just a white ray of light. So, you just see here, we're at second 9. So again, I make another marker here, just for myself. And I name this Ray, because everybody loves Raymond. This was wrong. Just wanted to zoom up. Okay. So I switch now here to the wonderful pen tool. When you have a layer selected and use the pen tool, you, well, not in this case, you mask the layer, you draw where the layer is visible. But if you have nothing selected, as you can see what I just did, you draw a shape. And a shape is exactly what we want. We don't want a filled shape, but it should be empty. So the fill options is no fill, and the stroke should be, let's go with 5 pixels wide. And it's like an Illustrator, it's a vector graphic, so you can zoom in and out to your heart's content. And you have this ray of light start from the outside, then go into the lens here. Or this was wrong. Hit the lens here, then it gets refracted a little bit here. And when it exits the lens as well, and then it enters, or here on this side, the film plane. So this is the animation that we want. Again, here the ray in the timeline starts at the very beginning, but I only needed to start here from ray. But right now it's from start to finish there completely. This is not what we want. We want to animate this ray coming in very slowly so that it has time, the audience has time to follow the ray as it goes. So for this I go to contents shape, and there I think there must be somewhere a stroke. Dashes, fill, no. Now I need to add here, I think this is trim path. This I have to add. This is an animation control, exactly, yeah. And here I can animate where it starts, where it ends, and by just animating here the end from 0 to 100% over, let's say, let's make it 5 seconds, that I have enough time to talk about it. And then it looks like this. Wonderful. Does it need to be this slow? Probably not, but like I said, it's easier to speed things up than to digitally slow them down, because with speeding things up simply put, when you speed something up, you just drop frames that are excessive. But when you slow something down, you have to interpolate things, and yeah, this is, for one thing, intense on the graphics card, or computation intensive, and of course the other thing is it's prone to producing some kind of artifacts. I mean, not for this, but if you have a person, for example, that goes behind a tree or in some other kind of obstacle, and you digitally slow this down, so you have just a frame person here, and person behind the tree. From here to here, it is possible to interpolate where every feature is, but now the foreground is not moving, and what is the background, and so on. So yeah, you get lots of problems with that. So essentially it doesn't cost me anything to have this drawn out animation here for 5 seconds, so this is good. So like I said, we have here when a ray enters the lens, it changes direction. It's being refracted to appear sharp on the focal plane. The further from the lens's center a light ray enters, the more it needs to be bent. So we have this thing here animated. Let's make this yellow. And now I'm going to fade out this ray here or just fade it, well, not entirely out, but let's fade it a bit to gray or something. So I just didn't have to do this. I just fade it out to 50% or even less once we're done, over half a second. 15, 30. And let's turn the opacity down to, yeah, to 15% perhaps. So just that we know that it's there. And then I'm saying, yeah, the further away from the center a light ray is, the more it gets refracted, or it has to get refracted. So for this, you know what, I just duplicate the ray that we already have. And on its new layer, I go to second number 16. And there I just have to adjust the anchor points. So I'm going to lock the original ray that we have, that I'm not, not changing what we already have animated. And let me just find here the shape, transform contents. Where's the mask? Where's the mask? There is the shape. With After Effects, it's always a pain to get the right thing selected that you want, but I think now this works. Good. So this one here gets refracted a little bit more and needs to end up further from the center, like here. Now I can see here, actually, those rays have to pass the middle here, the center line at the same point, which they don't, but it's okay. I can just change the other layer that we already created here and move this point up a bit. I mean, when I'm able to select it. Like I said, with After Effects, you have to be very cautious where your cursor is or what is selected. So the shape here, come on, don't want to select the entire shape. Contents, just this dot here. Why doesn't it work? Contents. Yeah. Now I'm the entire layer. No, this is not what I want. Path. This should be it. Yes, I think this is better. So here. Good. So this is a ray that's closer to the center, and now here is another ray that needs to be refracted more. And now it's fading out as soon as it hit here. So maybe I keep, let's switch over to the keyframes. So once you can see here, once the keyframe is here, the tracing of the path has completed. At the same frame we start doing the fade out. So I just move those a bit further down here, just half a second, and that I got some time there in my editing software to find or to pick at least one frame for a still frame should I need to. Okay, do the same thing here. Fades out. Yeah, just move them up a little bit further. Good. Let's check it again. Yes, I think this is exactly what we want. Okay, so this is the further from the lens's center a light ray enters, the more it needs to be bent. Good. Let's do the same thing on a lens with strong chromatic aberration. Okay, so let's fade out all rays of light that we have here. So, you know what? I go to second 23 precisely, and also make a new keyframe there on the ray that we had before, and then I fade out the opacity to 0 for both rays, and then I just clip here the tails that because we don't need them anymore, that they don't show up. Let's do the same thing there on a lens with bad chromatic aberration. for illustration's sake, I mean, now it looks, when I'm just fading it out, it looks like it's going to be the same lens, right? We just say or pretend that it's a different lens. But maybe what would work is if I have this diagram here of the lens and then I'm just switching over or swiping over to a different lens. And I think this is what we're going to do. So, and how to do this? Well, you have pretty much the same thing and you're just moving in from the top again. So I'm collapsing now here those layers. So we got here, this is the background. Let's just name it BG. And there we got the cameras, and this is diagram 1. And now I can duplicate it and move it there on top, and I can move it also here on top of what we have here. And now the cool thing is, like with Unity, where you can have this kind of cascades or hierarchies of game objects, where you move one game object and all its children move along. You can do the same thing here with After Effects, although it's a little bit more cumbersome because you have to link one layer to another. So it's not easier, or you don't have this representation of a folder and then with some indents for all the children. No, you have to use here this parent linking. So the child is linked to the parent, so when the parent moves, the child moves along. So position, and I'm just saying here I want to animate this position at second 24. Hit a keyframe, and now for half a second, that is 30 frames, I move it down by 1080 pixels, because we're here by 1920 by 1080. So this is, I think this works also here, not quite sure. If I enter plus 1080, yes, I don't even have to do the calculation here, and you can see it just flips over to a new, actually to the same thing, but yeah, it's just a new one. So down here, of course, like I said, what I don't need anymore, I deactivate or just trim down to where it's visible there on the timeline. Cool. And this, again, the animation is a little bit too linear for me. It doesn't feel good. So I just make some easing, and now it feels nicer, that it has some kind of, like it has some kind of momentum to it. So let's look at the different lens with bad chromatic aberration. Good, good. And what, yeah, let's do the same thing on a lens with bad chromatic aberration. A ray of light through the center passes pretty much unaffected. Let's duplicate again what we had before here, but I move it up. So we have again the same ray of light, but it's a copy, well, duh. But it's good that I don't have to animate it again, I just need to move here the path. So a ray of light through the center passes pretty much unaffected. Yeah, this is straightforward. Actually, it's literally straightforward, so I don't even need here those anchor points in between, so I can delete those here. So yeah, it's very clear. So just we have here this ray of light here in the center, and then it hits. And now we are past 30 seconds on my timeline, and it's too short, so I change here to 60 seconds my timeline. Let's zoom out here, and of course now the background will also drop here after 30 seconds, so I extend also the background here. So we need this diagram here for longer, and because this diagram isn't visible before, I also clip it like so and move it down here. So cool, so this is good. Yes, nothing much happens. So I can completely fade this out, so it doesn't have to stay at 80%, it just 18%, it just fades out entirely. So again, I can clip it And the script says a ray of light through the center passes pretty much unaffected. Good, let's see what happens when a ray enters the lens at its edge. Instead of refracting all visible wavelengths by the same amount, this lens bends shorter wavelengths more than longer ones. Result is that it gets broken up. Okay, so this is a lot of text and not much that I can visualize or just can draw out here from the text. So I do it as before, but now is the interesting part, or the most interesting part to me, is I want this kind of rainbow effect, that it really scatters into its rainbow colors. So again, I'm going to duplicate here now this path, this shape here, but as soon as it exits the lens, I need to switch over to a different layer, or make a different layer where it that has this little rainbow thing going on. So okay, I just want to be sure that the animation length is the same. So I need to be here when the light, or you know what, let's first bring it there. Bring it to the edge. Yeah, this is the entire layer. This is not what I wanted. Path. Contents, shape, path, there we go. Oh, of course, yeah, right, I recall that we remove the anchor points now. This is not too helpful. Oh, you know what, let's screw this, let's make a new shape layer that does what we want. There it enters the lens and is being refracted here. And that's it. We don't need it longer. So but we also of course have to animate that this trimming of the path as it's called. So where did we start here? At I think 31 seconds and a half. Yeah, I think this should be all right. Okay, so again, as before, contents, shape, and add a new effect there. That's trim paths and animate the end. So at the end, of course, the end should be at 100, and in the beginning, the end should be at 0. So the path enters our lens here, gets refracted, and now I want this cute splitting of the rainbow colors. So right now I don't know how to do this. Maybe with a gradient, or maybe I really do some kind of chromatic aberration approximation in After Effects. You know what? Let's first get the shape of this wedge, of how the ray of light is actually being split up. Just that it's there in the right position here. Okay, so this is the shape, or not the shape, it's the direction, and it should, you know what, let's try different effects. I start here with a blur effect and a radial blur, and its center point is here where the ray exits the lens. And I'm just doing this one here, and this is, yes, this is exactly what I want, that the ray here gets split up. And not only gets it split up here in terms of okay, I'm gonna make it longer. Well, I have to clip it then here at the end, but this is okay. I also need, of course, to shift it in color. What did I do? Did I just move this thing here incorrectly? Yes. I scaled the layer and did not move the shape, the path, the end point of the shape. So yeah, this is better. Okay, so the effect is what I want, which is wonderful. This was much easier. But again, it's now getting a little bit harder, because I want this rainbow dissipation. Cool. So how to do this? I think I will add, or I will create 3 of those layers that we have, one in red, blue, and green, and then blend them on top of each other via additive blending, and use a different radial blur amount or center point on each of them, essentially that it looks like what is physically going on. So I rename this shape layer now, well, let's start with red. Give here the stroke. You know what, I make the stroke a little bit thicker even, that it's more that it's easier to spot what's going on. So let's make it, let's say 8 pixels. This is red. Now let's make green. Important is that it has to be a 100% red in the channels. So, and nothing else, that it doesn't get polluted by another color. And blue, the same thing. Blue RGB 0, blue 100%. Okay, so now they are on top of each other, but they have to, their blending mode needs to be set to additive blending. So now it's white light again, which is what light is. Colored light or white light is just all the colors overlapping. And now let's for the magic. So I want the green to have a radial blur that's a little bit, or you know what, the amount of radial blur is the same for all colors, that is 1, but yeah, it's each light ray or each color has a different endpoint there, because of course it's being refracted differently. God, I hate this, that I have to drill down there to the shape and then the path to move it. Okay, so the blue, does the blue get refracted more or less? We have to be very scientifically correct here. So the blue gets bent in front of the focal point, so it moves like so, and the green stays essentially the same, and red gets bent further. So let's take red, and voila, we got this wonderful little rainbow going on here. This is exactly how I want it to look. The only thing is that it's maybe a bit too pale, or you can see those bands here going on. I don't like this. Maybe this has to do with the quality. If I set the quality to 100 of this scratch blur, I think, yeah, this is much better. Wonderful. Okay, so now of course, sorry, we have to also animate that how this rainbow here gets split up. I'm just trying here to make it even stronger, that the colors blend nicer together. Just trying to here a different amount for red, blue. Well, 2 is too much. 1.15 or 1.25. Maybe also 1.25. Yeah, well, it doesn't really add a lot to it. I mean, you can see, does this look to you like it's being split up into its spectrum? I think it does. Or should I make it even a little bit brighter, perhaps? Let's just try it here with the saturation, the exposure. I think we're good. So, okay, so how to animate now that this ray of light goes into the lens and then is being split up and appears there on the image sensor. Well, I could do this via mask, like I said before, that when you draw a shape onto a layer and then you can animate the shape like we had here in the beginning, like so. The problem is, as you can see now, this is not just one layer, it's 3 layers, red, blue and green. So what would be or what would work better, I think, is if I put this into a pre-composition, which is essentially it's just baking it down to one of those timelines by itself. Let's try this, pre-comp 1, and see how things are going. So okay, this is good. So it has its own timeline where pretty much nothing happens, but the upside to this is that I have it here as a individual layer, and I can do pretty much anything that I want, like all the other layers. Okay, the first thing that I don't like that's happening here is that, of course, I increased the line width, and this is pretty obvious here. So I'm going to cut this a little bit, that it starts off pretty thin. Oh, where am I here? And gets thicker. I have to be sure that I'm not cutting off this nice little effect that we just created there. Oh man, in the subpixel view, it's a bit hard. Okay, I think it looks a little bit crooked, or that it has some kind of curvature to it, but I think it's okay. So the other thing that I want, of course, to cut off is here that this overshoot here. So I just add another mask there, and I switch it from add to subtract, so it gets cut off like this. And overall, I have let's rename this pre-comp here, because pre-comp 1 doesn't say a lot. Let's call it colorful light rays. Cool. What's your spirit animal? Well, let's say unicorn. Okay, so far so good. The problem that I'm pretty much expecting that's going to happen is that later on I want to animate this thing here. Instead of refracting all, let's see what happens when it's enter edge. The further from the lens's center this happens, the worse it gets. So for this simple sentence, I want this ray of light that we had before, that's here at the center, that it moves up the lens, and you can really see it how this rainbow gets bigger and stronger. So for this, of course, I have to animate all those little shapes here, that they overlap in the right places. And the big problem is now here that I already put them into their own little subcomposition. So I think this might have not been the best call for now. So let's do this at the end. And first I animate it with the ray of light that's entering the lens, and then I will cut it down and do all this masking animation and stuff. So yeah, let's insert them back here without the mask. Good, so everything starts here. This is the frame where it should start. Cool. So let's have a look at the script. So this is, let's see what happens when a ray enters at its edge. Instead of refracting all the same amount, bend shorter wavelength more than longer ones. The result is that white light gets broken up into the visible spectrum again. Yeah, this we have. The further from the lens's center this happens, the worse it gets. So I'm just moving now this initial light ray here from the edge to the center, and then we see that it disappears, and then it goes to the other side of the lens, and then it breaks up into this again here. So this is probably the most tedious part, but I think we should be fine. So first here I leave some space here in the beginning, because we have to open or yeah, have this mask here that reveals this light ray for, let's say, yeah, not more than 5 seconds. Cool. So, and we are here at second number 40, and I split all those layers here and move them up so that I'm not polluting any animation that I have before, because sometimes this happens that you're moving around keyframes and then everything that you did before somehow get off sync or off center, or yeah, it's in short, it's not what you want. So, okay, we are here, and shape layer number 5. What is shape layer number 5? Shape layer, oh, this is shape layer number 5. Cool. Okay, so first let's take care of, let's call this entering ray anim for animated. And let's animate the path. I say 5 seconds should be enough, because I really can't change this afterwards if I want to make it longer, because of course I have to do the exact same amount for all the individual rays there, so this might be problematic. So I just yeah, say 5 seconds. 1, 2. You know what, let's make it 10 seconds just to be really on the safe side. It's going to be horribly slow, but maybe it needs it. Like I said, you can always make it faster, but not longer easily. Okay, so I just select the shape. No, I want to select the path here and move it down here to the edge again on this side, and also of course the exit point there on the lens. Let's see how this looks here in motion. Yeah, of course it's not perfect, so I have to add some more screen keyframes in between. For example, this endpoint here does not line up correctly. This is important that it does, and I think it doesn't line up correctly because here it's broken a little, and here I refracted it a little more, so it's maybe too much, and it has to be symmetrical, of course. So, but now here I think, yeah, this is good enough. So select this one and pull it out. And again, I wanted to have it some momentum to it, so that it eases out and then eases in again. This is what I do here first, and then I add some keyframes in between to get to follow the shape more closely and better. So now this, of course, should be on the edge. Yes, I think this works. Let's check it in motion. Yeah, I think this looks nice. Wonderful. I'm sure the unicorns will be pleased. Look at this, almost running out of water. I should have brought more. Okay, so this was the easy part. Now for, like I said, for the tedious part. And I'm going to start here with red. And essentially just follow the animation there on the starting point. But have really to make sure that the offset always stays the same. That red is always on the outer fringes there. Okay, good. Contents, shape, path animation. Good. So let's make sure here that I can see the keyframes there on this side here, the keyframes for both the layer that I'm working on now and the layer that we just animated, the ray before. So I'm just starting here in the beginning, easy out, yeah, ease out, and take here the path No, that's not what I wanted. I'm going to disable all the other colors for now, just that they don't get in the way. But I want to select only the anchor point and not the entire path. And this, like I said, with After Effects, what you can select is problematic. Because I think I have to select, no. Yeah, it's selecting the entire path now. But this is not what I want. I just want this. Yeah, I think this worked. Just drawing up a marquee. Sure, why not? Okay, so here we are. And what I just realized is that, of course, I'm using this radial blur filter, which just turns the image at a given from a given center point. Yeah, the center point is up here, and depending on where I move this center point, of course, it looks differently. So this means that I also have to animate this radial blur effect there for all of those layers. But the cool thing is that I can just do it on one layer and then just copy it with all the keyframes intact. But of course I have to make sure that I have keyframes first. So the center, let's animate the center point. The center should always follow the exit point. So here with the red layer is not correct currently, but this is okay. And here at the end, the center point is here. So let's also soften, or well, not soften, ease in and ease out the keyframes on the center point. And yeah, if this circle with this plus in between, this is now the center point, and and now that it's following frame by frame correctly this entering ray, everything is fine. It's just that the red ray is not. But we're taking care of this. Okay, so path, and I'm just animating here now the starting point and the ending point first, and have one keyframe there in the middle. Like so. And this looks good, but of course they're always there in the wrong spot. So I have to make sure. Now I will create another layer there. Or you know what, we don't even need a layer, I just need a ruler, or more precisely this kind of a guide here, that because this line here, the shape layer has to cross always at this position here, the center line to be physically correct, and this is why I need this guide here. Man, this has gotten much more involved than initially anticipated, but this is cool. I like it, how this is turning out in the end. So look at this. Yeah, of course we need to do this for all the keyframes, not just for the last one. But having this guide is extremely helpful there, of course. Good. Let's have a look at it again. This looks very good. The last thing that I want to do is, yeah, it it trails a bit off there at the end. If you can see this here, it doesn't follow quite correctly. So what to do about this? Yeah, I can insert here another keyframe, but the more keyframes you have, the more you have to animate to make sure, or the more stuff you have to double check to make sure that everything is on point. Like here, so now I have to also add here this ending point. But this looks good. This looks really good so far. I mean, it's drifting there a little bit. I think, yeah, I'm not too happy with it, to be frank. Maybe if the problem is the keyframe interpolation. So, you know what? If I say that all those keys are linearly in between the start and the ending, maybe this was the problem. So keyframe interpolation is linear, and there as well. What did I do? This was wrong. Of course, it would have been better if I selected them all. And let's see if this helps with our problem. And it seems good, apart there from the end. Okay. You know what? Maybe we should do the same here. Of course, certainly with the array that's entering. So keyframe interpolation, linear. And now let's check this again. This is animation for you. Once you've done, oh god, why? Once you've done this programmatically, then of course it always works. But in the beginning, it's also more work. Yeah, I really don't understand why it started to drift here or to come apart. But yeah. You know what? Let's switch over to the motion curves. Yes, we are here already at the value graph, speed graph, value graph. I think this is the problem, that here this curve, yeah, this also is wrong. Switch to value graph. Is this the value graph, or is there only the speed graph? The thing is that this ideally has to look symmetrical. I think I got it now. Yeah, I think this was the problem. Cool. Hope some of you are still there watching. The other thing that I've just noticed is that, like I said, the chromatic aberration gets worse the closer to the edges of a lens you get. So in the center, it shouldn't be too bad. But we have still here this radial blur going on. So I also want to animate the radial blur from the maximum value at the start and at the end. Let's also add here a keyframe. And in the middle, well, let's first ease in and ease out the keyframes as well. In the middle, it has 0 because it's a cheap lens, but in the middle it should work fine. So it's getting less in the middle, which is good, and then it's starting to become worse. Cool, wonderful. Still here interested. Visualizations are cool. Thank you so much. Like I said, sometimes I'm not quite sure if my connection broke down and I've been talking into nothingness quite actively, but still into the void. So yeah, one thing that I also want to change is now what's still irking me a bit is, yeah, this one has an 8 pixels width and this one here has 5 pixels. You know what? I stroke this also by 8 pixels throughout because it's much better visible. So of course I have to do this for the others as well. But I think it never hurt if something was a little bit too legible than the opposite. Okay, so I think I'm done here with the red channel, which is good. Now let's do it for all the others. And you know what? I'm just deleting the ones that we have so far. Or should I? No, I should not. No, it's okay. It's okay because we'll be using this kind of sub-composition anyway. So I just duplicate it here and call it red green 2. Again, let's make it green 100% here. That is good. Layer mode set to add. And I only have essentially to animate the ending point here a little bit differently. Lady Misterleaf is leaving. I always say Misterleaf, I'm so sorry. Lady Misterleaf is leaving. Thank you so much for sticking with me for such long, and have a great Sunday. Let me select the path, please. Entering ray anim. Oh, of course, I'm in the wrong layer there. This is what I want, green. Contents, shape, path, there we go. So what I want is the green just to be a bit on top of the red, and then make sure that with every other, you know what, same thing as before with red. I just need to make sure that wherever this, you can hardly see it, wherever it's here passing the center line, that it's also here with my guide, that it's always passing the center line, of course, at the same position. And now I'm moving, oh god, now I'm moving the entire layer, which was not what I wanted. So yeah, I have to start over here because I moved the entire layer because I hate After Effects. Undo. Okay, so we were here and I need to change the color to green again. Good, then get the path and only this point here. Let's make sure, yeah, it's only this one. And that I move the green up like so. Good. And now I set here my crossing. Good. Now let's go to the end point and move it down here. And every other keyframe there as well. In the middle it should be overlapping entirely, which it does. Cool. So in the middle it should get less, yes, and then it should start to split up again towards the ends. Wonderful, exactly how I want it. And let's do the same thing again for blue. And then we finally have this thing animated and visualized. So blue, path, effects, no, not radial blur, path. But you see with After Effects at a certain point it happens very fast actually, where something is getting more complicated and then you really have to have some kind of structure in your layers that you know where the hell you are, because this is, I mean, how many layers do I have? It's 20 or something, and wait, 17 layers already, and it's not even that complicated, but yeah, you already have to be very careful at what you do. Okay, again, I want to make sure that I select only the endpoint here of the path. And yes, that it looks something like this. And adjust here my crossing. Good. And yeah, let's just continue like this for all the other keyframes. And we're done. I think we're done with this. So I zoom in a little that you can see it better here. wonderful, it's beautiful. This is how I would have liked it to be taught to me when I first learned about chromatic aberration, how it happens and what it does. So I think I'm pretty happy with this animation here. Now the only thing, of course, we have to trace here this layer here in the beginning. So if you recall, I split up here the green, blue and red first and then did this animation here, but I don't need the first green, red and blue here because I can just extend this layer here to where I need it, and then it won't jump or skip into the animation. The only problem, like I said, here is now that I want it also to be revealed gradually until it hits the image sensor there, and then it starts doing this animation. So as before, I select red, green and blue and make a subcomposition. I call this ray bundle because I'm clever. Well, not clever. I'm just well versed with words. And now they are combined in a single layer. The animation is still there. Everything is still correct. But colorful light rays, so this one can go. There we are. And the animation starts at second 40. And now I can treat it as a layer, as an animation layer. So like I had before, first I want to crop it there that it never exceeds the image sensor, which is good. So I just clip it there to the image sensor, which is wonderful. And lastly, I have this reveal there. And for this, I also just make a new layer here, which I pull up from the start. So, and now that I have two layers there, you know what? This is bad. I just use this one here and don't say add, but subtract. And first we want to add from this layer here and then subtract, well, not layer, mask. First we want to add from this, what's it called? What's that kind of color? From this peach colored mask first and then subtract the yellow color, which makes sense, I hope. Okay, so we have to animate, you know what I call it here, the red mask. I hope this doesn't compress too badly on YouTube, but I think it should be visible. Okay, so the starting frame is here. And then I just extend it over, let's try a couple of seconds. Let's try until second 38 of our animation. Where I just draw it out like so. And now combined, it looks like this. Perfect. I think this is exactly what I wanted to look like. And now the light ray is moving up and down through the center. Oh my god. And now we're having here the problem that this mask, of course, is still there. So after, when I'm done here, I just make this mask big enough for the light ray to go up and down without being cut off. Yeah, this works. Okay, cool. Yeah, always double check your animation before rendering out. I mean, I preach this, I don't do this always, but yeah, most of the time. Sometimes I catch myself or my own stupid mistakes. But this is essentially chromatic aberration visualized. And it still looks fine. So again, we start here, the image plane on a camera. This is where the light enters. No chromatic aberration, different lens, no chromatic aberration, strong chromatic aberration. We move up and down and it gets worse. And what does the script say? The further from the lens center this happens, the worse it gets. instead of a sharply defined outline, we get a rainbow smudge. That's also the name of my all-unicorn, cheers, punk band. And that's it for my water. I should have brought more, but then again, I already feel the urge to go to the toilet. Here's the resulting image without chromatic aberration and with strong chromatic aberration. And you know what? Let's also do this here in After Effects, how this chromatic aberration not only there for this bundle of rays, but for an entire image. So I create a new composition, which I call now a demo image. And it's going to be, ideally something with a lot of lines and black and white or very contrasty. So, you know what? Let's. I'm pretty much stumped right now at what kind of image I should use. You know what? Let's find something. Let's find just an image there on Unsplash. Unsplash is my #1 go-to because you can use the images there for also your commercial works, should you want to, which is great. And I'm very, very grateful to all pretty amazing photographers, because all those images come in big sizes and are of a pretty good quality overall. And you can search for certain keywords. So let's search for, you know what, let's search for wires, because there it's most obvious, especially something like those power lines there. Maybe if it's dark and some white wires there. Yeah, this in reverse would have been nice. You know what, let's pick this one here from Steve Ritchie. This, what is it? Is it a bridge or a cell tower? I can't quite see it, but I can download it for free, which is wonderful. Save file. And where did I save it to? Probably to my desktop. But it doesn't matter, because I need to turn it to black and white first anyway. So in Photoshop it goes. And there let's pick just the red channel, because there it's the brightest. For example, this is the green channel and this is the blue channel. So I'm going to just pick the red channel here and massage it with some curves. Something like this perhaps, so that we get some really, really contrasty outlines. Because like I said, chromatic aberration gets worse towards the edges. I need to have, as you can see here, everything gets darker here towards the edges. Apparently there's some kind of vignette going on. So I need to mitigate for that. So this is just my selection there. So I'm going to blur my selection, and then I'm going to invert my selection and use this selection there for a curves effect. Let's bring it here, and with these curves I can just, as you can see here, effect the outer fringes there. So I try to make them brighter, like this. And like I said, we only need the red channel, so I add a black and white effect there, and I just say, yeah, we want the red channels by 100 and everything else to 0, which just effects there in the red channel. That's left. Okay, so if I turn now off my effects here, or the curves effect, you can see that it actually does quite a lot. Okay, and finally I need to crop this down to full HD, because this is the resolution the video will be in. So it's 920 by 1080. Well, it's a ratio, but actually I need it really to have a certain resolution. So 920 by 1080 pixels. And let's crop it like so. And I cropped it badly, because we have here this white line there at the end. So okay, I try this again. Crop. Yeah, this looks better. Image, make sure that it is just grayscale, because we don't need colors. and save. And I save it now. Where do I have my folder? Schematic, image sources. Let's just call it, oh, you can't see this if I have it on the other screen. Let's call it just demo image. I call it Demio image because, yeah, I'm not good at typing when I'm not looking at the keyboard sometimes, especially when I feel that I'm being watched. So, and import it here. Where is Demio image? Let's rename this to demo image and drop it here. So, and this is where I'm saying I don't need here the guides at the side. Few rulers, I don't need them. This is the image without chromatic aberration and with strong chromatic aberration. So I'm pretty much doing the same thing like I did with the light rays before. That is, I'm splitting the image now to red, green and blue. And since this is a black and white image, it's much easier. So I just give this layer here an effect where I just tint it, where is probably under color correction and tint. There is the tint effect. And first we start with red, call this red. And additionally to tinting it, as we've seen before, I add a blur effect. It's a radial blur or CC radial blur, which is faster and it's not a scratch. Scratch, by the way, is if you just turn it like a turntable, that looks like this. This is what we had before. But for when you are looking through the camera, it's more like a centered zoom. Yeah, it's more like this. It's like some kind of motion blur, but only in a channel, in a certain channel. So, yeah, the amount is probably too strong, but let's make it. Or what is the difference between fading zoom? Yeah, this is not correct. Straight zoom or centered zoom. It's a straight zoom. Let's use just this. And to make it really obvious, I use an amount of 10. Now we need to use different amounts for the different color channels. So this was red. I duplicate this now and call it, of course, green. Set the mode to add. And green, of course. And use a different amount here. Instead of 10, I use, let's say, 5. Maybe it's not much. Let's try 7. And same thing, red, green, blue, of course. Blue. There we go. And use even less. A negative value, let's say -5 for blue. +5 for red, or +5, yeah, for red. Where is red? Amount 5, and 0 for green. And there you can see how's it happen, how it is happening. Actually, well, green should have some kind of blur effect, otherwise it wouldn't blend well together. So I give green a value of, let's say, 1. Let's make this even stronger. Actually, let's make this, okay, so red is just 2, so red is 5, and green is 4, 3, and blue is what should we give blue? -3, like so. And then overall, I will still blend the entire image. So I add a new adjustment layer, and I also give it this radial blur, so it just blurs everything even further together. And now we get this little spectral rainbow effect there, and not where you can see, yeah, this is just a red channel, just a green channel, just a blue channel, because it affects the entire spectrum. So I hope this looks correct. So then when we can say, yeah, this is what it looks without chromatic aberration, and with strong chromatic aberration, you can really see what is happening. I hope. You know what? Let's make it even more clear what's happening. So I just add some curves there in the adjustment layer. And color correction, I crank up now the saturation as well, so that you can really, yeah, really see what's happening. So no chromatic aberration, strong chromatic aberration. And maybe also let's bring over the curves to the no chromatic aberration, because otherwise people maybe could think that it also makes the image brighter, which of course it does not. Yeah, I think this is pretty obvious. So now we have this pretty much done. I think I have some other schematics that I want to animate, for example with a wavelength of the light. I'm not quite sure how to animate this or how to illustrate this, but again it will be something like this in After Effects. So also Frank says he's going. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope this was interesting to you. Ray bundle, what the hell is going on here? Why is there nothing there? Oh, of course, I just zoomed into the timeline. This is good. So yeah, let's bring this up and just have it run there in the background. What we've produced today, so it's 50 seconds long, this animation that I thought would be 15 seconds. So yeah, I don't need the rulers here even. So let's cache it again and display it. Wonderful. Yeah, this was in essence 2 hours. Well, I've played a game before, so it's not the entirety of 2 hours, but still it was rather fast for usually, because yeah, usually I take much longer with some kind of illustrations. Most of the time is because I don't know how to tackle certain problems, but here I think this was very straightforward. I hope you could get a glimpse at my process of how I tackle this kind of illustrations. That is essentially just breaking up the script sentence by sentence and trying how to convey it the best way possible. Which also means, in this case, that I'm trying to adhere to physical optical correctness, which was a little bit different than most of the time, because most of the time you can just cheat your way around some things. But there, if you cheat yourself around some things, and for example, like here, if not each of those individual rays would have their own crossing point, it wouldn't be always on center. It would look off, and yeah, essentially would be pointless, because if an illustration that's trying to illustrate something and it doesn't illustrate the thing correctly, then it's of no use to all. So yeah, I'm yapping again, and sorry. So let's switch over back to Big Phil. So I can also stop the animation there in the background, because maybe my transitions are already getting a bit choppy because the GPU is using all the power of After Effects, which you don't see. So yeah, that's it from me for this week. Thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you so much for watching. Still got 3 concurrent viewers, so I think one of them is me in a different tab. So yeah, again, thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you have a great week, all things considered, and I don't know what I will be doing next week. Maybe I get quite a lot of stuff done on this chromatic aberration video. Maybe, I'm not promising it, but maybe it could be already uploaded until we see each other next week. Well, I don't see you, but you will probably see me. Anyway, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope it was interesting and not too boring. Maybe you've learned something. Maybe anything that is relevant to your workflow. And Cursey Boo says bye, and I say bye too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great week, and see you next week. Thank you.